Today, Musket Battles takes us to Monmouth Courthouse. Now, Monmouth Courthouse is considered an introductory scenario. It's a very small battle, and in fact, under the old pub battles, it only had like 5 blocks total. And I never really bothered with it because seemed kind of silly to me. But now with Musket Battles brigade blocks, each side has 8 blocks, so there's a little more meat on the bone. Now each side has 1 chit to draw. This actually works out really well as an introductory scenario because it focuses on the mechanics of combat movement, and the subtleties of chit draw are kind of highlighted because you're only drawing 1 chit at a time. Now the historical background of this battle is the British are abandoning Philadelphia, they're heading for the coast, and the colonial army is trying to catch them and give them a good whack in the ass before they get there. For their part, the British would like to snap at them one more time themselves. At the beginning of the scenario, there's only Cornwallis with a detachment of cavalry on the map. General Lee is drawn first, and he enters. There he is, in march column, coming up the road. Cornwallis moves forward to force him out of column. Well, you know what? It's a simple scenario, and I've already screwed it up. The British can't move until they can see the colonials. So I'll set him up here where he can watch, and on turn 1, that's all that happens. Alright, now one valuable lesson we're going to learn is how long it takes a column of troops to come out of column and form up into line to perform an attack of some sort. Wayne and Scott come out, form up, then the artillery comes out and forms up, and then Maxwell's light troops and Dickinson's militia come out and form up, and then the baggage train with the troops guarding them move up but remain in column on the road. Not wanting to be sitting ducks, Cornwallis and the cavalry move over here behind Foreman's Pond. Now it's turn 3. This time Cornwallis is drawn first. On turn 3, the British troops arrive. They have their artillery on the hilltop. Now they've got some skirmishers out in front of them because now it's the colonials' turn and they're going to fire on the artillery. They do a hit. All it does is drive back the skirmishers. Now we're going to turn 4. Cornwallis tries a stratagem. He rides around behind the colonial column, and now the British artillery opens up on the colonial artillery, inflicting a hit, and it becomes spent and can no longer bombard. After I fired last turn, I should have moved the detachment in front of it, but I forgot. That's the price you pay. This is how this is going to go. Wayne and Scott are going to attack the British. Now because I'm playing double blind solo, I can say that they don't know, the rebels have no idea that there's British here. They only know the British here that have come back. So they move out like that and begin flanking the position. Meanwhile, the bags come here and unpack, the artillery recovers, and now they've got their guards in front of them. This detachment comes out and is defending the unpacked bags. They wouldn't know that this is where the British detachment is, but they do know that they're out there somewhere. So of course they're going to protect their bags. The opening attack. They both do 2 hits. The attack continues. The colonials do 2 hits. One is absorbed by Abercrombie's elite status. The other flips him to spent. The British do 1. That reduces the colonials to spent. This is tense. It's going again. Tough British troops drive off the colonials. Now we go to turn 4. The British are going first. The British dragoons appear on the hill, threatening the bags. Now note that the British HQ is back here. Cornwallis is with them to try and capture the bags. That means this entire force is merely defensive. They can't attack. British artillery moves over here to cover this threat on the flank. These detachments move forward. Gray and Matthews hit the fleeing colonial troops, which I just explained they shouldn't be able to do. So we're going to say they did, independent of any command. British unpack their bags, and their spent units recover. But now Lee moves. He pulls his troops back within range of the unpacked bags. So here you see moving first isn't always a good thing because now the opponent can react, which by the way they do. Now the artillery fires into the flank, doing 2 on Matthews. One is ignored because he's elite, but the other one flips him to spent. Lee directs the attack, and Maxwell's light, with their skirmishing militia in front, attack the harried British. British do 2 hits, which destroys Dickinson's militia. The colonials do 1 hit, reducing them to spent, and they retreat. Now it's turn 5. The colonials move first. Scott and Wayne recover, And since they're moving first, they don't want to attack because they're going to get swarmed when the British move. Maxwell falls back outside of Monmouth. And now the British move. The British aren't going to do anything foolish. They fall back to the bags to recover, and they reset their line. And here, hoping to put an end to the whole affair right away, the British Dragoons attack the bags. Now these are both Dragoons. Because they're flanking, the British Dragoons get advantage. The Colonials do not do a hit, the Dragoons do. The Colonial detachment is eliminated, and the Dragoons sack the bags. The Colonial forces are broken. They actually simply destroyed militia and a detachment. Militia are 2 points, detachment is 1 point, that's 3 points, tripled because they sacked the bags. 9-0. Washington himself does not show up until next turn. Now if we were playing person on person, one thing that would be making a huge difference is that both players would be rolling to alter turn order. When playing solo, I simply play as drawn. And you know, one thing about playing the Monmouth scenario is this gets very chess-like. You notice there are a number of situations where placement was critical. And with the British having their command back here and only being able to attack with this, all of this meant nothing. They couldn't attack with that. It was just sitting there. I made a mistake. When I unpacked these bags, I probably should have unpacked them up here and protected their flanks. But I figured I'd put them back here, and as long as they were guarded, they were fine. I miscalculated that. Good game. You know, I've changed my opinion about the Monmouth scenario. Under pub battles with the larger blocks, and each side only had 2 or 3 blocks, it didn't really gel for me. But now with musket battles, and each side having 8 blocks, and the very chess-like nature of the moves, this becomes a very interesting battle. Now when playing solo, I can do my double blind thing where I go, they wouldn't know about these guys over here, they couldn't see this, and it plays differently than if you have 2 players and they know perfectly well where you've placed things. Now you can play it, but you can say you can't react to things you wouldn't know about. So you could set up defensively because you didn't know where those guys were, but you couldn't send someone out after them to hunt them down. But that's my opinion. I'm curious to hear what you think about this.